Welcome, dear listener, to Perfect Sleep Stories, a cozy corner for cat lovers to rest, breathe, and drift. Here, every story is told in whispers of fur and light, each sound chosen to soften the edges of your day. As you settle in tonight, the world outside can wait. There's nowhere you need to be and nothing you need to do. This time is just for you and for the quiet company of a gentle cat's purr. The sound you'll hear beneath my voice, that deep, rhythmic hum, is not only comforting but instinctively grounding. Cats purr when they are safe. They purr when they feel connected. And as you listen, your body begins to echo that message back to itself. I'm safe now. I can rest. You may notice as the purring fills the room, how your own breath starts to mirror it. A little slower, a little deeper. You don't need to control it, just let the sound guide you. Every inhale, a soft invitation. Every exhale, a quiet release. If you like, you can imagine a cat nearby, not to think, but to feel, perhaps resting at your feet or curled near your pillow. Its small, steady breath rising and falling, each motion a reminder that calm can be simple. The rhythm of another peaceful being can help your nervous system remember what safety feels like. That's what this channel was created for, not just to help you sleep, but to help you arrive in your body again, to ease the hum of thought and soften the muscles that have carried too much for too long. Our stories aren't traditional meditations, though they may feel like one. They're quiet portraits of the feline world, part lullaby, part observation, part shared stillness. Every episode is designed to move at the pace of comfort, slow enough for your thoughts to settle, gentle enough for your body to release its hold. So wherever you are listening from, whether your own cat has already found their place beside you, or you're listening alone beneath soft blankets, you're welcome here. This is a place for rest, for warmth, for the kind of quiet that doesn't need to be earned. If this space already feels like home, you can show a little love in the gentlest way, by tapping the like button so more dreamers can find their way here. You're welcome to share where you're listening from tonight, maybe with your cat purring nearby, or in a quiet room where the only sound is this one. We read every message left in the comments, and it's always a joy to know which story your cats fall asleep to. So if Mira reminds you of your own sleepy companion, or if tonight's soundscape stirs a favorite memory, you can tell us about it there, softly, whenever you wish. It helps the channel grow, but more than that, it keeps this warm little circle of cat lovers connected, even across time zones and dreams. You can let the sounds of the day fall away now, the hum of screens, the chatter of memory, even the list of things waiting for tomorrow. None of them belong here. Only this moment does, and it's already enough. Notice your body as it begins to soften into the surface beneath you. The weight of gravity becomes an anchor, not heavy, but steady. Feel your back supported, your arms loose, your jaw unclenched, your shoulders dropping until they rest where they belong. If you're lying down, you might feel the rise and fall of your chest, the way it expands with each quiet breath in and releases with each long breath out. If you're sitting, feel the seat beneath you, the grounding of your spine, the way your breath still moves through space. You're safe here. You've done enough for one day, and now the story will carry you gently into the night. As the purring continues, you might begin to notice small details in its sound. The low vibration that hums through the chest, the way it rises on the inhale and deepens on the exhale. It's an ancient rhythm, one that has soothed living creatures for millions of years. Scientists tell us that cats purr not only for contentment, but for healing, that the frequency of their purr can help bones mend, muscles recover, and heartbeats steady. And so, tonight, as you listen, imagine that same frequency moving through you, a steady hum of restoration, a comfort that requires no effort. Let it reach the tired parts of you, the muscles that worked without thanks, the thoughts that circled without rest. Let the sound remind them they can stop now. Each sound in this space is meant to bring you back to sensation, not what happened today, not what might happen tomorrow. Just this, warmth, breath, quiet. You can picture a soft light in the room, low, golden, like the last rays of afternoon falling through a window. Dust motes turning lazily, the hush of a cat stretching from its nap, the sound of paws against wood, small and sure. Somewhere a kettle hums, somewhere a window catches the scent of autumn air. This is how rest begins, not all at once, but in ripples. A slowing heartbeat, a longer breath, a thought that drifts away mid-sentence. You don't have to listen closely to every word. You don't have to stay awake to the end. The story is designed to hold you, whether you follow it or not. If sleep comes, it will come quietly, like a cat curling beside you. If your mind wanders, that's all right, too. Each time it does, the purring will still be there, waiting. That steady sound is your anchor, a reminder that you can return to calm at any moment without effort. You might even imagine that Mira, the gentle cat you'll meet tonight, is breathing nearby. You'll hear her move through rooms filled with amber light and falling leaves, but her world is peaceful, steady, slow. As you follow her story, your own body will begin to match her pace. Her stillness will become your stillness. Her rest will become your rest. Each detail in her story, the warmth of the blanket, the hush of the garden, the sound of leaves settling, is written not only for your imagination, but for your body's memory of calm. You might find that as she curls to rest, something inside you settles too. As she exhales, you do as well, without meaning to. That is the quiet magic of cats. They remind us that peace doesn't need to be chased. So as you listen tonight, allow the world of Mira to unfold at its own pace. Let the imagery move through you gently, the warmth of morning light, the gold of afternoon windows, the hush of twilight paths, and finally, the soft dark of safety. Each chapter slows a little more. Each breath carries you closer to stillness. You are safe here. You are warm, and nothing is required of you but rest. If a thought arises, let it float past like a drifting leaf. If tension returns, notice it. Then let the purring sound guide it away. You might even feel your heartbeat aligning with that rhythm. Slow, soft, circular. The sound itself is permission to let go. Outside, the world keeps turning, but here time has softened. The pace of night is yours now. Let your breath follow it, in and out, until even those words fade and only the feeling remains. Now take one final conscious breath. Let the exhale leave the body fully, melting through your chest, your arms, your hands. Let what's heavy fall to the earth. What's light can stay. And when the next breath comes, let it come easily, as though it were borrowed from the quietest corner of the world. The purring continues, and the story begins.
Morning arrives without ceremony. Light gathers at the edge of the window, not bright, not sharp, just a slow wash of gold along the sill. It reaches the basket first, then the woolen blanket, then the fluffy little shape curled upon it, Mira. She's spent every morning of the season here, drifting easily between dreams and waking. The light touches the curve of her ear, the rise of her side, the soft place where fur meets fabric. A tail moves by a small degree, the faintest arc, as if answering the light rather than waking to it. The room is warm from the night's held heat. The air is gentle and dry, touched with the faint scent of wood and clean fabric. Mira breathes in a steady rhythm. Each breath seems to open the space a little more, as if the house itself is breathing with her. Quiet lives here. Quiet in the clock. Quiet in the floorboards. Quiet in the small dust motes that turn slowly in the amber band across the room. Outside, a leaf lets go. It does not hurry. It turns and turns again and rests upon another that fell in the night. Mira lifts her head. Ears tilt. Whiskers fan. The soft line of her back rises with a stretch that begins at the shoulders and flows down to her hind paws. No rush, no startle, only the satisfying length of a well-rehearsed morning. The blanket keeps its shape when she stands, as though the warmth itself has weight. A paw steps onto the sill, then another. Pads meet wood. The glass holds the day at a tender distance, but it shares its story freely. Beyond the window, the world has changed a shade. Not the blaze of summer, not yet the deep hush of winter. A middle tone of amber and tea, hay and honey. Garden paths hold a thin scatter of leaves that look like letters not yet arranged into words. Branches are drawn thinner against the sky. They write quiet lines in the light. Mira watches. Watching is as natural as breath. She asks nothing of the scene. She does not count the leaves or measure the wind. She simply lets the sight arrive and settle. A sparrow clicks somewhere near the hedge, a small sound like the snap of a tiny seed. Farther away, a crow calls once, then decides that is enough for now. The house carries its own soft music, the low hum of the heater, a whisper in the vent, a settling sound in the walls that might be memory. Mira knows every tone. She knows which steps will creak, which cabinet door rests with its own sigh. Familiarity is a comfort that needs no telling. It gathers in the corners, on the blanket, within the curve of the basket, in the sun rectangle that climbs the wall by slow degrees as the morning finds its angle. Another leaf falls, then two together like a pair of small boats. Mira's eyes soften at the edges, not sleepy, simply at ease. She leans into the warmth of the glass, and the faint trace of her breath fogs a circle that fades as soon as it forms. Beyond, a small gust lifts a pale drift from the path, moves it a yard, and rests it again. A gentle rearrangement, nothing more. Change without demand. She steps down from the sill and crosses the room in an unbroken line. Paw, 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 pause. The rug receives her weight and gives it back, as if the floor itself were a calm sea. At the doorway, Mira stops and looks into the hall. Light does not reach here yet, but there is no gloom, only softness. A basket of scarves rests on a chair, and the faint, clean scent of soap lingers from yesterday's wash, cool and round, like a quiet vowel in the air. The kitchen is not far. Tile gives a cool greeting, and the water bowl catches a thin shape of window light, a pale coin on its surface. Mira drinks in small sips, unhurried, each one a meeting of need and ease. When she has had enough, she sits and looks toward the back door, not to go out, only to be near the pane where the yard can be seen in its full calm form. A maple branch, low and patient, holds leaves the color of warm tea. When the wind lifts them, light spills through the thin parts and deepens at the veins, then returns to even tone when the air rests again. On the step, a small neat triangle of leaves has collected overnight against the door, as though the yard itself has placed a soft letter there. Mira watches them and hears a faint papery hush as they settle into one another. A kettle lives on the stove. It has not begun its work yet. In the quiet, its metal coolness is simply another shape in the room. Mira curls by the door, a small question mark unwound, then rewound to a perfect circle. The floor carries a memory of warmth from last night's oven. It meets her ribs and gives comfort with no announcement. The room holds the promise of the day without asking for action. Outside the glass, a longer leaf breaks free. The maple releases it with the care of a hand letting go of a ribbon. It turns, as if showing both sides of its story, the part that faced sun, the part that faced shade, and then it comes to rest where others wait. Mira blinks once, a slow, deliberate gesture, as if returning a greeting. She lowers her head to the touch of her own paw
and gives a thoughtful lick, the small sound dry and soft. Time is generous here. No hour presses. The morning moves as a wide river moves, not by force, but by its own known path. Mira rises again, and with the simplest of steps returns to her basket. The blanket welcomes as though it has been warming itself for this very moment. A circle is made, a small circle within a larger circle of woven wool and wicker. Her tail draws over her nose like a curtain that lets in a slit of light. The ears remain attentive at their base, soft at their tips. Rest does not mean the world is shut out. Rest means it may come and go freely. Outside, a faint line of clouds appears, like breath written on the blue. They pass without change to the ground below. The hedge holds small private rooms for the birds. There is no rush within them either. Somewhere down the street, a door closes with a padded thump, and the sound arrives here with its edges worn smooth by distance. Nothing intrudes. Everything belongs. Mira's purr begins as a low thread, almost imagined, then moves into the body of the room. It is not loud. It is steady, like a hand on the back, like a quiet tide against sand no one sees. The vibration enters the blanket, the wicker, the floor, and the air itself, until the house feels tuned to a single, calm note. The note does not ask the day to be different. It accepts the day as it is, a gold-edged morning in the gentle turn of the year. The sun shifts. The bright rectangle climbs, then spreads, then softens again as a thin cloud drifts over and makes a veil of the light. Mira does not mind. Light or veil, warm or just warm, the room is a harbor. Beyond the window, the maple lets fall another set of small boats to the quiet sea of the yard. Near the step, the neat triangle has become a soft fan. At the fence, ivy keeps its calm green, a promise that some colors will hold while others release. The house knows this rhythm. Cabinets keep their stillness. The refrigerator adds a low, even tone that joins the room rather than cuts it. A thread of cinnamon from a jar left open after baking ends its drift and becomes a memory. Mira's whiskers catch a trace of it and relax. Her paws flex once, then grow still again. This is how the season begins here. Not with a call, not with a bell, but with the quiet knowledge that the world can slow and still be full. The maple gives, the light gives, the room gives. Mira receives without grasping. She rests without falling away. If the door opens later, perhaps the path will be explored. Or perhaps the window will remain the frame for the day. Either way, the story holds. For now, her breath is even. Her eyes are half-lidded and soft. The basket has its gentle curve, the blanket its warm rise, the room its tender hush. Outside, leaves drift and layer, each finding its place. Inside, Mira has found her own. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter. When the sun climbs a little higher, Mira stirs. A slow inhale swells her chest, and a quiet purr rides the breath out. Low, content,
unhurried. The air in the room has shifted. It carries a soft trace of the outdoors, a hint of leaf and gentle wind. Her whiskers twitch once, as if the morning itself has brushed past to invite her outside. She rises, one slow motion, shoulder to tail, and pads to the door. Each paw step presses a faint warmth into the floorboards. At the threshold she pauses, breathing in and out, a long exhale that seems to loosen the last threads of sleep. The door moves open with a sigh. Light folds around her like a shawl. Outside, the garden waits, quiet, drowsy, golden. The air has weight but not chill. It wraps her fur in a mild, living warmth. Somewhere behind the hedge, a bee hums, half dreaming in the late season. Leaves lie in patterned drifts, thin and crisp, yet still smelling of sun. The path to the wall glows like pressed amber between patches of grass. Mira steps forward slowly. The stones remember heat from yesterday. When her paws meet them, it feels like touching the memory of a hearth. She pauses halfway and lets her gaze wander. With every exhale, she smooths the moment outward, the way her tail smooths the air behind her. Breathing softly, in and out, she feels the garden settle around her heartbeat. The wall itself is low, wide, and worn by time. Its top is rough in places, but to Mira it is perfect, a sun-warmed ledge to think upon. She leaps lightly, landing without sound. Her body ripples once, muscles flowing beneath fur like quiet water. Another breath, in, then a slow, melting sigh through her nose. Her purr returns, faint, almost private, blending with the hum of the day. From her perch, she can see nearly everything. The maple near the house, its gold leaves turning like slow clocks. The ivy along the fence, still green, still holding its summer promise. And the garden beds, sleepy now, with stems bowed in gentle surrender. Wind drifts by and gathers her scent, and the scent of stone and leaf, carrying them all in one tender exchange. Mira blinks half-lidded, breathing with it, as though the wind itself were her companion.
Somewhere, a door closes far away. A single sound, rounded by distance, drifts over the hedges and fades. Mira's ears turn slightly, then relax again. She breathes in the faint echo, then lets it slip out with a purr, a long, slow vibration that seems to erase the space between moments. She watches a leaf hover near the wall. It hesitates, caught in a tiny swirl of air, and lands beside her paw. The edge of it trembles once, then stills. Mira lowers her head and studies it as if listening to a story told too quietly for words. Her chest rises and falls, a rhythm so even that the leaf begins to move with it. Each exhale stirs it slightly, then leaves it resting again, the world breathing with her, the breath belonging to both. A bird lands on the far post, a small rust-colored thing with eyes bright as dew. Mira watches without intent, only with presence. The bird flicks its wings, gives one soft note, and is gone. The space it leaves behind feels like silence made visible. Mira draws in a deep breath, holds it a moment, then releases it as a sigh that warms the cool air before her face. Peace made audible. The garden hums in layers, the murmur of unseen insects, the hush of leaves sliding against one another, and underneath it all, Mira's purr, steady, grounding, continuous. She closes her eyes for a time. The sun paints her fur in tones of honey and smoke. Each exhale thins into stillness, as if she is breathing the day slower and slower until it fits the measure of her heart. A cloud passes, softening the color of everything. The warmth lessens just a degree, enough for Mira to draw her paws beneath her chest. She folds herself neatly, fur fluffed, tail curved along her side like a brushstroke. Her breath deepens again. With each quiet rise and fall, she seems to blend further into the wall, the garden, the season. The maple gives another handful of leaves to the wind. They move across the yard in gentle spirals, amber, rust, gold, whispering a sound like paper turning in a forgotten book. Mira opens her eyes just enough to watch their descent. Her pupils are wide, dark pools holding the mirrored fall of each leaf. A soft rumble travels through her chest, a contented pulse of sound. In and out, the rhythm continues, melting the moment into calm. She stays there for what might be hours, or maybe only minutes. Time has no edge here. The sun bends its light toward afternoon, rich and low, brushing the stones with bronze. Mira blinks once, twice, then stretches, her back arching gracefully before easing down again. A breath, a purr, a quiet settling. When she finally stands, she does so with the same care she brings to rest, fluid, deliberate, still half dreaming. She steps down from the warm, her paws touching the ground like petals returning to earth. The warmth clings to her fur, holding the memory of the stones. As she walks toward the door, the wind moves behind her, a soft escort of air and scent. Her tail sways once, twice, then stills. Inside, the house breathes too. Through the open door, warmth greets her, steady, familiar. She crosses the threshold and pauses, taking one slow inhale and a longer exhale that dissolves into a faint, happy trill. The garden will wait. The world outside is still turning softly, and Mira carries its calm within her now. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter. By the time Mira returns to the living room, the sun has shifted its shape. It now leans through the wide panes of glass in long gold ribbons that cross the floor and climb the opposite wall. The air carries a deeper warmth, not heat, but a settled afternoon glow that seems to hum inside the quiet. Mira steps into one of those ribbons. The light brushes her fur in soft bands of honey and pale cream. She pauses there, half shadow, half sun, and closes her eyes. Outside, the wind has slowed. Only the faintest movement remains, a leaf skimming across the stone path, then resting again, content. She moves toward the window and sits upon the sill where morning first found her. The glass is still warm from the hours of light that have passed. Beyond it, the garden seems more golden than before, every branch rimmed in a slow fire of light. Even the fence glows faintly, its worn wood softened to amber. Inside, the world narrows to the sound of stillness. A clock ticks, gentle and patient. Somewhere in another room, the faintest creak of wood settling murmurs like an old friend sighing in sleep. Mira's tail lies long and quiet behind her. Her gaze drifts across the window pane to where sunlight dances in slow, curved shapes. Each reflection sways in rhythm with the trees outside, as if the house itself is breathing in tune with the wind. The air smells of warmth and faint cinnamon, a trace from earlier baking that still lingers in the wood. It mixes with the earthy scent that slipped in from the garden when the door was open. Together, they form a kind of comfort you can almost feel against the skin, something like the inside of a well-loved coat or the memory of a familiar embrace. Mira blinks once, slowly. Her reflection does the same, eyes soft and round. She watches herself for a moment, a small creature framed by light, surrounded by quiet, and then turns her attention outward again. Two sparrows dart through the air and vanish behind the hedge. A leaf follows them, caught in their wake. Then stillness returns, whole and unbroken. The purring begins again, low, steady, a sound that blurs easily with the hum of the afternoon. It fills the corners of the room the way sunlight fills glass, evenly, gently, never insisting on being noticed. The sound seems to come not from Mira's throat, but from the very center of the house. The sun lowers further. Shadows stretch long and fine, sliding across the floorboards until they rest against the rug near Mira's paws. The color of the room shifts, from gold to deeper amber, then to the faint rose of a fading day. Mira's whiskers catch the glow. For a moment, each one shines like a thin filament of light. She rests her chin upon the sill. Outside, the leaves no longer fall one by one, but drift in small groups, like clusters of slow-moving stars. Their movement is so quiet it might be mistaken for thought. A low warmth clings to the windows, holding the day's final breath. Mira's eyes narrow to half their height, not from tiredness, but from ease. For a time, she simply watches the golden shapes gather in the yard, forming small, soft mounds against the garden wall. They no longer seem separate, each one a piece of something larger, patient and whole. The light slides from the top of the window, thinning until it's only a single band that glows along the bottom frame. Mira's fur glimmers faintly in its last touch, a quiet crown of brightness that fades almost as soon as it appears. When she exhales, the sound merges with the hush around her, a whisper folded into the warmth of the room. Outside, the day exhales too, and the air deepens toward evening. The sun lowers behind the roofs, and for a brief, perfect instant, everything stands in the same golden pause. the house, the trees, the leaves, and Mira herself, still as a painting that breathes. Then the light slips away, the colors dim to the tender gray of dusk. Mira lifts her head one last time, watching as the reflection of the sky softens into the window pane. A faint hum of evening air curls through the vent. The scent of wood and warmth lingers. All that remains is quiet, a quiet that glows from within, like an ember that will not go out. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter. Dusk arrives like a sigh released through the trees. The day loosens its hold on light, and color softens everywhere, gold becoming rose, rose fading into blue-gray. Through the window, Mira watches as the garden drifts towards evening. The air outside looks cool, but not unkind. The light, though dimmer, still holds a hint of warmth, as if it refuses to leave all at once. Mira stretches, long and slow, her spine arching like a quiet wave. She steps down from the sill and pads to the door. The handle gives a soft click, and the hush beyond greets her, the kind that feels alive, not empty. When she steps outside, the world seems to exhale. The garden has changed again. The leaves that gleamed in sunlight now rest in bronze-toned shadows. Each step she takes makes a whisper, a sound like silk sliding over wood. The air carries the faint scent of damp earth and wood smoke, with threads of warmth still woven through. Somewhere near the fence, a cricket begins its small song. Another answers from deeper in the hedge. Their rhythm folds into the stillness, steady and soft, as if keeping time with Mira's gentle steps. The last rays of sunlight spill across the garden wall, turning the stone a muted honey before they fade. Mira pauses there, remembering the same spot in morning brightness, the warmth under her paws, the lazy hum of bees. Now the stones are cooler, smoother, yet still holding a trace of the day's memory. She breathes it in, then lets the breath fall away. It carries with it everything unneeded, movement, sound, the stirrings of the long day. Her purr hums quietly in her chest, a thread of warmth twining through the cooling air. She follows the narrow path that winds behind the garden beds. Leaves have gathered along its edges, not thick, just enough to make the earth soft beneath her paws. Every so often, a breeze lifts one into the air, and Mira's eyes follow it as it spins, rises, and lands again. Her gaze moves slowly, matching the leaf's rhythm as though they share the same thought, no need to rush. Beyond the fence, the trees stand like tall, listening shapes. Their branches sway in long, slow arcs. A single ray of light catches in the canopy, flickering gold before the sky deepens. Mira watches until the color fades, then lowers her head slightly, whiskers brushing a fallen leaf. It shivers under the touch, a sound small enough to disappear into her purr. The path turns, leading to a patch of soft soil where moss grows between flat stones. She steps there and pauses. The ground feels gentle, pliant, faintly warm from the day's breath. She sits, curling her tail around her paws. A hush settles deeper now, thicker, like velvet over the garden sounds. Mira blinks slowly, half in thought, half in peace. The breeze returns, slower this time, moving around her like a quiet hand. It brings the faint smell of pine from somewhere distant, and the smoke of a chimney, low and sweet. The scent makes her eyes drift closed. Behind her lids, light flickers in pale colors, the echo of sunset still lingering in her mind. Somewhere a small branch drops, landing softly among the leaves. The sound feels far away, unimportant. The earth holds every sound as if it knows where each belongs. Even Mira's own breath seems to disappear into that knowing, in and out, until it becomes the garden's breath instead of hers. When she opens her eyes, twilight has arrived. The path glows faintly in the new light, a kind of silver warmth, soft and forgiving. A faint rustle runs through the hedge, and a moth drifts past, pale as linen, wings catching what little light remains. It circles once above Mira's head, then vanishes into the dusk. Her eyes follow, steady and calm. She does not chase. There is no need. The sound of evening deepens. A low hum from the distant street blends with the wind, becoming one tone. It moves through the garden like music too slow to name. Mira sits in its center, unmoving, the stillest part of a still world. The earth holds her shape gently, and her fur blows faintly, brushed by the last of the twilight. When she finally rises, her paws make no sound at all. The path leads her back toward the door, each step dissolving into the next, like ripples in a quiet pond, fading into calm. The garden seems to nod as she passes. The wall, the trees, the moss, all part of the same hush. Everything feels ready to rest. At the door, Mira pauses. She looks back once. The leaves shimmer faintly where the air still moves. Above them, the first star has appeared, not yet bright, but sure of its place. She blinks at it once, a slow acknowledgement, then turns and steps inside. Warm air meets her immediately, wrapping around her like soft wool. The room has dimmed to its evening hue, shadows layered in quiet shapes, the last glow of light resting across the rug. Mira settles near the window, where she can still see the faint gleam of the garden path. Outside, the leaves rest. Inside, so does she. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter. Night gathers softly, not with darkness, but with depth. It moves through the house like slow water, filling corners, smoothing edges, leaving everything hushed and whole. The last trace of daylight lingers on the window, a faint line of silver blue that soon dissolves into the calm of evening. Mira lies near the window, her body curved in an easy half-moon. The glass is cool now, but the air inside is still touched with warmth, the kind that has lived here all day and refuses to leave. Somewhere in the kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator joins the silence, steady and kind. It sounds like a small heartbeat that belongs to the house itself. She blinks once, her eyes reflecting the faint glow of a lamp that flickers from another room. Its light is soft and low, turned down to a whisper. It paints the walls in gold and the floor in rosewood. The shadows stretch long and slow, moving only when the light breathes. Mira's fur shimmers faintly in that light. Every strand seems to hold a note of the day, the warmth of the garden stones, the honey of the late sun, the cool of the quiet path. She shifts her paws, kneading once, twice into the rug before letting them rest. The rhythm of her breath evens out again. Her sides rise and fall, slow and unhurried, as though the room is breathing with her. In the corner, a kettle cools from earlier tea. Its metal gives a small sigh, the last note of warmth settling into stillness. The faint scent of herbs hangs in the air, chamomile, honey, and steam that has long since vanished but somehow remains. It mingles with the woody scent of the floors and the faint musk of Mira's fur. Together, they create the perfume of comfort, subtle and steady, the fragrance of rest. Outside, the garden lies quiet beneath a veil of silver dusk. The leaves that turned through the air all day now rest where they fell, still and certain of their place. A soft breeze brushes across them, moving only the thinnest layer, enough to make a faint whisper that barely reaches the glass. Mira's ears twitch once, then settle. She listens, not for sound, but for stillness, that deep tone that fills the spaces between every noise. Her purr returns, lower now, round and slow, as though it's been warmed by silence. The sound glides through the room like a thread of gold silk, looping into corners and curling under doors. It hums against the wood, the glass, the gentle shadows, and somewhere in that sound is a trace of her heartbeat, soft and sure, carrying the story of the day into rest. The lamp flickers again, a quiet flutter, not of struggle, but of surrender. Its light leans toward amber, then deepens to the color of old honey. Mira turns her head, watching the glow stretch across the wall and fade to a soft edge. Her eyes glimmer for a moment in reflection, then close halfway. The lashes of her whiskers tremble with the echo of a sigh. She shifts, curling more tightly, tucking her nose beneath her tail. The sound of the world fades around her. No footsteps, no voices, no rush of wind. Even the hum of the house grows softer, as though listening to her quiet. Inside her chest, the purr slows, folding into the rhythm of her breath until the two become one. The night deepens. Its color thickens in the corners, filling every gap in the light. Mira's breathing stays steady, a gentle pulse of warmth against the cool air. The moon rises outside, pale and deliberate, sliding across the glass in a smooth, silent arc. It spills a faint silver glow that drapes over the rug, the wall, and Mira herself, a blanket of light that needs no touch to comfort. Outside, somewhere down the street, a door closes with a muted thump. A car passes, its sound softened by distance, then fades into nothing. The world has entered its still hour, that hidden stretch of time when even thought seems to sleep. Mira's tail gives one small contented twitch, then settles again. She opens her eyes just long enough to watch a single leaf drift past the window, a pale thing, turning once before resting on the sill. Her eyes follow its motion, then still. For a moment, cat and leaf both seem caught in the same breath, two quiet hearts resting in the same silence. Then her eyes close fully. The lamp hums softly, the moonlight deepens, and everything slows to the same steady rhythm. The house, the night, and Mira herself become one quiet thought. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter.
Somewhere in the stillness, the sound of night deepens, not louder, but closer. It fills the house in slow waves, the kind that don't move air, but settle through it, like warmth through wool. Mira shifts slightly in her sleep, her paws curling once, a faint murmur leaving her throat, more sigh than sound. Her body has gone soft, all edges given to rest. The lamp has dimmed to its last glow. Its light flickers faintly on the glass, then drifts away, leaving only the gentlest shimmer of silver across the floor. Outside the window, the garden lies hidden, yet somehow she can still feel it, the wall, the stones, the leaves she walked among. The memory breathes with her, slow and seamless, as if the day has settled inside her chest. In her drowsing mind, the leaves move again. They are not the real ones outside, now resting under night, but remembered ones, softer, lighter, made of sound more than shape. She can almost hear them, that low, secret murmur of leaf against leaf, the quiet rustle that had followed her down the path. It drifts through her memory like the smallest current, winding through half-sleep. The rustling becomes rhythm, a language older than words, the garden's own heartbeat. Each gentle shift, each faint whisper folds into her breath. Her chest rises and falls, timed to that remembered sound, the rustle, the stillness, the rustle again. She dreams not in images, but in textures, warm stone, soft earth, the mild weight of light across her fur. If thought appears at all, it is only this: the world is kind when it slows. The day does not end so much as change its shape. Even the falling of leaves is a kind of breathing, the trees exhaling, the earth receiving. In her sleep, Mira's whiskers twitch, as though she too remembers that rhythm, the letting go, the gentle landing. A faint breeze touches the window. It carries no chill, only memory, the ghost of daylight air folded into night. The sound it makes is almost nothing, the sigh of leaves that have already settled, the echo of their movement turned to rest. It finds its way into the room, brushing over Mira's fur so softly it might be the dream itself. Her tail stirs once, then stills. The faintest rumble of a purr hums through her, low, continuous, the body's last trace of waking. Its tone mingles with the imagined rustle until they are the same note, the quiet music of the living world asleep. Every breath that leaves her carries a thread of that song. Every breath that returns brings it back again, softer each time. Outside, the maple stands unmoving. Its branches hold the shape of silence. No leaves fall now. All have found their place. The garden rests as completely as Mira does, each part folded into calm. If the night has a pulse, it beats beneath that tree, slow, steady, and endless. Inside, Mira's ears flick once. Her breathing deepens again, heavy with peace. The memory of the leaves fades from thought, but stays in feeling, a lull beneath her ribs like the weight of a gentle hand. Whatever remains of the waking world glows faintly around her, as though she carries the day's quiet inside her dreams. The room holds her close. The air keeps its warmth. Nothing asks for her attention anymore. Nothing stirs. Only the faint hum of life continues, low, golden, circular. Mira rests within it fully, her body heavy, her thoughts feather-light. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter. The night has deepened to its quietest hour. It is not dark exactly, the kind of still light that exists after everything else has gone to rest. Outside, the garden sleeps beneath its blanket of leaves, the air wrapped in a calm so steady it almost hums. Inside, the warmth holds, patient and sure. Mira stirs just enough to uncurl. The slow motion sends a ripple through her fur, like wind through tall grass. Her paws stretch forward. Her back arches once gracefully, then melts into softness again. The dream has drifted from her, leaving only the hush it carried, the whisper of remembered leaves and the peace of the path. She lifts her head. The window shows a faint gleam, silvered by the hidden moon. Beyond the glass, she can just make out the quiet garden, pale outlines of branches and still air. Nothing moves. Everything rests. The floor beneath her is warm from the day that came before, a memory of heat kept by the boards and rugs. The scent of home lingers here, wool, wood, the faint sweetness of air that has known purring and quiet breath. Mira stands, and her paws make no sound as she crosses to the corner of the room. There, beside the small table and the low lamp, now dimmed to a single ember of light, lies her favorite place. A basket lined with thick woven fabric, soft from many washes, shaped by her body through many nights. The blanket within it carries her scent and the memory of every sleep before. It is her own small world, safe and warm, where no leaf can fall except the one she dreams. She circles once, twice, the way cats do, a ritual older than words, a tracing of comfort's borders. Then she settles, curling into a perfect spiral. Her tail drapes lightly over her nose. The movement sends one small sigh into the air, so soft it barely exists before it disappears. For a moment she listens, not for sound, but for the absence of it, that velvet stillness that fills the hours when the world is finished speaking. The house gives a single creak, gentle as a yawn. A whisper of air moves through the vent, carrying warmth like a secret. Then everything holds. Outside, the maple stands in its own peace. The leaves have found their places now, no more falling,
no more drifting. They rest in layered silence, blanketing the roots in gold and russet. Each one has surrendered to stillness, and in their quiet the garden breathes. Inside, Mira mirrors them. Her chest rises and falls with that same rhythm, the silent pulse of rest. A faint vibration trembles through her body as the purr begins again, steady and small. It hums through the basket, into the floor, through the walls, until it feels as though the entire house is breathing with her. The light dims further, melting into amber dusk. The last flicker of the lamp sighs out and leaves a tender glow, moonlight softened by curtain folds, wrapping the room in half-shadow. Mira's fur gleams faintly in this, pale along her shoulders, darker where the curve of her body hides the light. Her breathing slows, finds a rhythm that matches the hush. Each exhale is a thread of warmth that unwinds into the room and fades. Outside, nothing stirs. The trees stand still. The stars drift unseen behind a veil of thin cloud. Even time itself seems to wait. And there, in her quiet corner, where the air is thick with calm and memory, Mira sleeps. She sleeps as the leaves sleep, as the house sleeps, as the world sleeps when it finally feels safe, dreaming, perhaps, of soft earth and falling light, or of nothing at all. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter.
And so the night settles again. The world has gone still. The leaves have found their place. And somewhere in a quiet room, Mira sleeps, safe, warm, and endlessly at peace. If you've drifted into that same quiet, you can stay right where you are. There's no need to move. Let the sound of her purr hold you a little longer. That steady hum that speaks without words. You are safe. You are home. You are enough. Outside, the garden rests beneath its blanket of gold and rust. Every branch, every fallen leaf has surrendered to stillness. The air moves softly, as if even the wind has chosen to sleep. Inside, the warmth remains. It lingers in the walls, the floor, the hush of the room. A glow without flame, a calm without thought. Mira breathes in her dream, her tail curled like a whisper against her paws. Each breath a small tide, each exhale a release into peace. The sound of her purring threads through the dark like a lullaby that never ends. You can rest with her now. Nothing pulling you forward, nothing left undone. The night is whole, and the quiet has found you. Stay here as long as you wish. Let your thoughts dissolve into the rhythm of breath and sound. Let your body grow heavier until even listening becomes too much effort to hold. Outside, the leaves settle. Inside, you do too. And somewhere between the two, in the small golden space where sound becomes sleep, the story keeps breathing on its own. The purring continues, and the world grows quieter.